And we're back with another episode of Successful Marketing and Sales for adult business owners and entrepreneurs, where we teach you how to have a more beautiful, wonderful business so you can have an even more beautiful, wonderful life. I am your host, best-selling author Sadon Long. So today, we're talking about why 2024 is the year for people over 35 to go into business, to follow their dreams, to really see the bigger, better life that they've always dreamed about come true. Now, I know historically, we've looked at aging as a bad thing, but when it comes to business, when it comes to business, it is actually an asset. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, the reason we want to talk about it is because just the other day, man, I saw a post and they talked about the fact that a 48-year-old rapper won 3 Grammys. Shout out to Killer Mike. So, 48-year-old rapper. Just, 10 years ago, that was unheard of. You know, unheard of. And now, actually, it's starting to become more and more common. Whether it's Lil Wayne, whether it's Jay-Z, you see guys doing something at a very high level for a very long time. You know, Tom Brady won a Super Bowl at 45. Some people's best work didn't come to what we consider their latter years. And I want to really tell you at home that even though these are your latter years, hey, these could be your best years. They always talked about it would get greater later. Well, we at greater now. You know, so again, let's really get down to it. Now, the number one reason that this is going to be the season for people over 35 to go into business is because you have experience. Let me keep it a buck, man. You know more, you've seen more, you've gone through more, you've seen more BS, and you know how to avoid it better than anybody else. So when you start talking to people who are coming up through the ranks, you have a level of insight that nobody else has. Let's just talk about how to handle yourself within the workplace. We've all seen the young girl that comes to work and tells everybody her business. You know, so now, all of a sudden, all her little workplace romances, they start circulating around the building. People start finding out, who she's sleeping with, start finding out who she's pregnant by, start finding out all of these inappropriate things for the workplace about this woman's life. And unfortunately, whether we want to, admit it or not, those things shape how people see you. And not only do they shape how people see you, they really affect whether or not they're going to put you in a leadership position or not. Because how many people would you put in a leadership position who couldn't separate their emotions from their job? I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm asking you at home, how many people would you put in a leadership position that came to work and told you everybody they slept with over the weekend? How many people would you put in a leadership position who were sneaking around with people that they work with? How many people would you put in a leadership position who are gossiping about other people at work? Do you really want your director or your regional director running around putting themselves in a position to be an HR nightmare? I mean, I've seen it up close and personal. Somebody gets into a situation with someone, then somebody else finds out about it. Next thing you know, they're on the hotline. Because that's just what people do. They're messy. And in situations where there can only be one leader, there can only be one supervisor, there can only be one director, there can only be one senior director, people try to knock you off. But because you've been in the game a long time, you know how to say no. You know how to avoid that type of stuff. You know how to be like, girl, you might not want to do that. Because 2 years from now, they're going to use that against you. So when you start talking about starting a coaching business or starting any kind of counseling or consulting business, you have a level of understanding about how people in leadership positions think. Number two, you've led people before. You know, by the time you're 35, 40, 45, you've led somebody, you've trained somebody, you've coached somebody. You taught somebody how to do your job. So whether you know it or not, you have a whole lot of teaching experience, a whole lot of counseling experience that the next generation of people coming up behind you could really benefit from. Because not only do you know how to train them to the book, to the letter, to the T, you also know those little things that the training book doesn't tell you. You also know what it's like to be in an interaction with another human being. I mean, I go back to when I worked in education, or even now, because I deal with people still. But when I go back to working in education, I remember listening to a girl do an interview. And within the interview, she asked the young lady what she'd been doing for the last couple of years. And the young lady didn't want to disclose. So she kept pressing on it, kept pressing on it, until finally the young lady said that she'd been away, on a state funded vacation. So the rest of the interview, the person who was supposed to be helping her get her life together wanted to know about what was going on. Well, why did you get locked up? And why did you do that? You shouldn't have never done that in the first place. I bet you learned your lesson. Whoa, shorty. Calm down. It is not your job to judge the people that you're sitting in front of. It is your job to help them. It is your job to discover and uncover information that may be useful in regard to helping them further their career. So when you've gone through these things a few times, you might have even made these mistakes. But because you made them and you suffered the consequences of them and you lived past them, now you're in position to start to tell other people, hey, when you get to a situation like that, here's how you handle it. When you get into a moment where you don't quite know what to say, it's okay not to say anything. When you get to a moment like that, and now your experience in these situations starts to translate into better coaching. Because now not only can you see the situations that are going to happen, you have solutions for them. So number one, you have experience. Number two, you've already been coaching and training people. So because you've already been coaching and training people, this is a great opportunity for you to teach, coach, and train somebody else. And even if you haven't been doing it in the workplace, you've been doing it at home. Was just watching Deion Sanders yesterday, and he said there's really not much of a difference between being a coach on the field and being a coach at home. Because in both cases, what you're really trying to do is get the best out of another human being. And you learn what buttons to push, you learn what things to say, you learn what things to impart and impute into them in order to get them to the destination that they're trying to get to. So whether it's be to get them to college, whether it's be to get them to the NFL, it's still the same concept. I'm trying to help people get better. So when you're at home and you're teaching in the kitchen how to make a meal, you're teaching how to clean a house, you're teaching how to cut grass, you're teaching how to change oil, you're teaching how to change brakes. The same thing applies for thousands of other people, because some of those people don't have a mom who could teach them how to bake. Some of those people don't have somebody who could teach them how to garden. Some of those people don't have someone like you who could show them how to change brakes or oil, or how to, get their lawnmower started in the spring, how to get green grass, how to get rid of crabgrass, how to get rid of weeds, how to clean, your floors, your walls, all these little DIY things that you're doing each and every day. You can make money teaching other people how to do it. I guarantee you right now, there's at least 50 girls who would love to know how to make macaroni and cheese from scratch, like black people do. And some of them are black, some of them not, but some of them are. So again, I say that to say that you've been teaching, you've been coaching, you've been training, whether in an employment situation or at home, and you have tons of experience. So you know what to put the oven on, you know how long to keep it in there, you know what to look for when it starts to be done. You know, and somebody who's coming up in the game doesn't know that. Imagine what your life could look like. Imagine what your life could look like if you made a living doing what you love. If you made a living standing in front of a group of people, showing them something that could change their lives the same way it changed yours. One of the reasons I'm in the seat that I'm in right now is because, man, I did a ton of recruiting, a ton of sales training, a ton of sitting face to face with people, on top of having marketing experience, on top of having writing experience. Well, now I didn't have formal writing experience, but I grew up being an MC. So I spent a lot of time writing rhymes, spent a lot of time standing on stages. So I don't shy away from microphones. I don't shy away from being in front of people. Who knew when I was 16 or 17 years old, rhyming in ciphers and participating in talent shows, that it would make me comfortable when the cameras were on. That it would make me comfortable and linguistically sound enough to stand before you right now, or sit before you in this particular case. Who knew that? But over time, it became apparent that I had a gift, which leads me to my next point, that your gift gets sharper with time. So you've been doing something 10, 15, 20 years, even if it's just cutting grass, to the point where you could do it faster, simpler, easier, with less stress. You could come out there, cut grass, edge it, seed it, water it, and everything, and probably a third of the time as someone who's never done it before, as someone who's just getting their first home. You know what it's like to have your first home. So things that people who are getting their first homes are struggling with, don't even know what to look for, don't know how to get done, taking all day on WebMD or taking all day on whatever DIY site, you can jump in and say, hey, man, I can knock that out for you in 30 minutes or less. Or I could show you in 15 minutes. So really, there's a couple lanes there. For you, there's the I can coach you. There's the I can sell you my process. There's the I could do it for you. You know, shout out to my neighbor across the way. He has like literally every tool. He's a little bit older than me. I think he's in his early 60s. But has every tool you could think of. You know, if if we need, put some air in the tire, he has a compressor. If he needs to jump a car, he has the battery thing that you just plug in and you stick it on the car and jumps the car. If you need, do something with your plumbing, he has the snake thing. And we were standing out there one day and he was, cleaning his tools. And I was like, man, do you know how many people don't even have a screwdriver in their house? And he was like, well, as a kid, I was taught, that a man's supposed to have some tools. Man's supposed to have the things to make the job easier. Now, for me, that was a blessing because it taught me to start buying tools. So now when I cut the grass, I got edgers, I got leaf blowers, I got hedge trimmers. So my yard looks 1,000 times better than it used to. I got weed whackers. Then I started learning about, how to get rid of grass, how to get rid of weeds, how to get rid of things so I could plant rocks and things like that. Just hanging out with the guy across the way. Now, I was blessed enough that he didn't charge me anything. It was just us having conversations. But, shout out to a guy named Marshall. that I met when I was in education. You know, taught me a ton of things about how to get rid of weeds. You know, both with products and with natural things. So again, there was a significant improvement in my yard just because of a couple guys that I knew. Now, you'll hear me say this, and you've heard me say this a lot. You know, not something I came up with. This is an old phrase that has been permeating through our community for years. And that is the game is to be sold and not told. So again, if you have something people are willing to give you money for, the Bible says the work is worthy of the hire. You know, so if you feel led, called, God has given you a gift already that you can use. You know, again, imagine what it would be like if you could use your gift to feed your family. Imagine what it'd be like to have more time to spend with your family. You know, to go on those college trips, to go visit kids who moved away, to go see about your mom, to go to the doctor with your mom or your dad, and not have to worry about whether or not you missed something at work because you're the boss now. You know, not have to get yelled at, have a performance review, have to be called into somebody's office. What would that really be like? And still make money like it's a good ass job. Ask yourself right now. Look in the mirror. Look at me. Look wherever you need to look, and say, what would it be like if I could do the thing that I loved, 24 hours a day, 365? Because the reality is all you are is customers away. Being able to close those customers, by the way, but all you are is customers away from financial freedom. You know, your gift will make room for you if you use it. You already have the gift. There's a ton of systems that already can help you. There's a ton of people that can help you. Now, mind you, we got to make sure we pick the right people. But it's never been easier to post on the internet. It's never been easier to make a video. It's never been easier to get a website. Now, it's still a little bit hard to get customers. But again, I teach you how to turn free social media into cold hard cash. I teach you how to get, keep, and use those same customers to get you more customers. You know, so there are systems in place that will allow you to attract customers. And one of the main systems is just simply knowing that there are people who want to know what you know. You know, there are people who know how you dress. You know, I remember being, a little bit larger than I am now, well, maybe about 100 pounds larger than what I am right now, and people wondering where I bought my clothes, because it's like you're a large man, and because I was a large man, I never wanted to be seen as sloppy. You know, so shoes, belts, watches, all matched, ties, you know, shirts, all fit, all of the above, pants up over my butt, because I worked in a professional environment, suits all fit. So even though I'm a big boy, people were like, wow, you dress really nice. And you know what? Every one of the wives who had a big boy at home wanted to know where I bought my clothes, wanted to know where I bought my shirts, wanted to know why my shirts weren't flapping up at the bottom. Like, where do you buy shirts at? And why do they lay so nice? And why do they fit so well? Because when you're a big boy, it's hard to get that neck and belly ratio just right with a dress shirt. Now I would shout out to people that I buy my dress shirts from, but they're not paying me. So anyway, if you want to pay me, you know who you are. Mm. But again, people wanted to know, you know, wow, you wear really nice shoes. Where do you buy your shoes at? Man, you must spend a lot on your shoes. Not really. There's a system that I use to make sure that I get the shoes that I want. and at the price that I want. And because I come from retail, I kind of knew how retail cycles worked. So I knew when stuff would go on sale. I knew when the markdowns would come. I knew how to use the coupons and the doorbusters and all those things to my advantage. So there were people who I would end up in the mall with shopping for clothes for their husbands. You know, why? Because there was a wedding coming up. And they didn't want to be embarrassed because he only had that one suit and it's too small, and he ripped the pants and now he needs a new one. I mean, you want to look nice in those pictures, so hey, if your dress is this, let's get him this suit, then we'll get him this tie, and we'll put this tie with, and it'll pick up your dress. It'll look perfect. Okay, let's get him this belt. What color is shoes? Oh, let's get him some new shoes. So we got new shoes, new belt, new shirt, new tie, and we should get a second shirt so that way he doesn't have to keep wearing the same shirt over and over and over again. So you get one white one, and maybe you get one, pale blue one. You could still wear the same tie if you want, or you could switch it up. Then let's work this clearance rack because maybe there's something on the clearance rack that can help him too. And we would go around the store and we get to the counter and then be like, okay, well, here's the coupon, here's the doorbuster, this is going to be this and this is going to be that. And then when it all rang up, they'd be like, oh my God, we got all this for that? Yeah. Whole outfit, two shirts, two ties, threw in a belt, picked up a couple things off the clearance rack, got him a nice hanky. And now Monday they come to work and they're like, oh my God, look at the pictures. Look how good he looks. Looks good, doesn't he? I like, oh, you sound like you got something over the weekend. She's like, I did. So, man, how good did that person feel? Now, I have no intentions on becoming a personal shopper, but, there are tons of people who are very stylish out here that are looking at maybe becoming a personal shopper. So, with that being said, if you're 35 plus and you've been getting jiggy for years, and I'm showing my age, we're getting jiggy. I absolutely understand that. But, if you've been getting jiggy for years and you've been getting fresh and you've been getting fly, you know what colognes to wear, there's a ton of young men who want to know what you know. They want to know how to get fit. They want to know how to smell good. And now more than ever, they want to know how to interact with other people, how to socialize with women. You know, so whether you're a man or a woman, if you can style a man, and you got a barber and a person who esthetician and maybe a dermatologist and a dentist that you can then send referrals to for the guys that you're styling to help them get that look, you got a whole business. Just doing what you love, going to the mall. Because that man or woman is going to love the way you make them feel and look. They're going to love the results that they get from you styling them. Because now when they walk into a meeting, they walk into a party, it's going to be lights, camera, action. Like, oh, yeah, I was out the other night and, yeah, it was amazing. I felt like a movie star. One of my business partners, she has a personal shopper, and we laugh because she's developed this queenly kind of style, with these pantsuits and these one piece suits with the belts and it's just swagged out. It is amazing. And I'm like, man, where did you kind of stumble on these looks? And she's like, oh, I got somebody who shops for me. That way I ain't never got to go in the mall. I ain't never got to be, worried about if this gonna look good on me or not. I got a person who actually knows my measurements, knows everything about me, what I like, what I won't like, who just picks out clothes and then sends me pictures or sends me samples, and then I pick through the samples and I get what I want. Now, for somebody sitting at home, you're like, yeah, but I don't know anybody like that. Well, you might not know anybody like that today, but you can start with people that you do know. You know, people that you are cool with, people that you do see out and about, people that you do see within the mall, and use those opportunities to then build up your testimonials, to then build up your case studies, so that when you really launch that business, you've had 5 or 6, 7 people that you've actually helped. And if they give you some referrals, now you got a customer base. That simple. You know, help some people for free. Get those people to refer somebody who'll pay you. Use the testimonials as case studies. And if you're watching right now, I'll give you a testimonial script that you can then use that'll help you get customers. You just got to go over to grownandrich.com and click the make money fast button. And when that send an email piece comes up, just say, hey, I want the testimonial script, and I'll send it to you. It works. But when you're over 35, man, you just got so many different things going on that you can use to make money. You know, the way you detail a car can make you money. You know, because a lot of people didn't grow up with parents. You know, a lot of people didn't grow up with a nurturing mom. A lot of people didn't grow up with a father who could teach them these things, but yet they still need to learn them. There are areas that there are parents that are limited in that you can now step into the gap and take up that gap that is there in their parenting skill set. You know, maybe people's moms don't know how to cook. So now you step in and you could teach them how to make a Sunday meal. Imagine inviting a mom and a daughter into a kitchen and showing them how to prepare a meal that their family's going to love and that's going to be in their family for generations. Imagine how cool that is. Imagine the pride of someone being able to make that pound cake and it tastes like grandma made it. Oh my God, this cake good. People yearn for that. People will pay for that. People will pay you for that. So again, 35 plus, so many things that you could teach. Stepping. You've been stepping since you was 16. You nice with it. Shout out to my man Tony Grown, folks. You've been doing it a long time. So you can teach it. All we have to do is figure out who you can teach it to, what we're going to charge them, and how to reach them. That's it. It is very simple. The basic 3,000-foot view is who's going to give us some money, how much money they're going to give us, and how do we get them to give us the money. That's where the wealth transfer comes from. It doesn't come from likes or follows or insights or systems. It comes from actually being able to convert people into customers who will pay you. And that's why my system works so well, because it allows you to get, keep, and then use those same customers to get you more customers. But if you're over 35, man, you're experienced. You've been training people a long time. Your craft has been sharpened. Your eye has been sharpened. So that now when you do it, it is pristine. Whereas when somebody else does it, it could be better. You've been writing a long time, so your ability to edit, your ability to be an editor or a proofreader or a ghostwriter for someone who wants to write books and is afraid to take on this task by themselves. All of these years of teaching English, all of these years of being annoyed with people using your and you are or you are the wrong way. All of these years of people saying all of these things that just drive you nuts. Yeah, you can turn that into a business. And again, I'm sitting here before you. Wrote a book, never written a book before. Was blessed that it became a bestseller. Didn't really understand how business in this particular world worked. So I thought that having systems and t-shirts and promo material and being on the radio, that all those things are what made me the money. So I was going broke. But then when I realized that, oh, okay, I actually have to sell. Then I realized that I've been selling and teaching people to sell and persuading people and being in front of people for over 20 years. So guess what? Jumped on Facebook with an old Android that I had at the time and started teaching people how to do what I do. Okay. Now it's turned free social media into cold hard cash. And I guarantee you beyond a shadow of a doubt, there's never been a time that I've been on the Facebook or any of these other sites consistently that my phone hasn't rung, that somebody hasn't reached out to me, that somebody hasn't wanted to do business with me. And it's not because I'm boosting ads. It's just simply because I am able to do something well enough to charge for it. You know, I've been doing this consistently again for maybe about the last, maybe with a 90-day clip, like right, I think maybe right before Christmas. So maybe 60 days, less than 90 days. People have reached out to me to book me to do trainings. People have reached out to me to come speak at events. People have reached out to me and saying that they wanted to work with me. And I haven't hit the boost button one time. Why? Because there's always a group of people who want what you're able to do. If you're in the 8th grade, there's some 4th graders who want to be cool as you. If you're in the 12th grade, there's some 9th graders who want to be as cool as you. If you're in the 12th grade, there's some college kids that you want to be as cool as. So there's always someone who is looking at you at whatever stage in life you are, saying, well, how do I get to where you are? Now, if you sing, there's someone right now who you can vocal coach. Because there's tons of people who would love to learn from a singer who's been singing for decades and who can really control their vocal, who can really hit those notes, who knows how to transition. Because when you're young and you really want to be in the music industry, but your gift hasn't been sharpened enough, working with you could be the difference between them having a hit record and not. Knowing what to say to get customers, knowing what to say to get booked because you've been booked before, because you've gotten customers before. Again, I come from recruiting. I set records in recruiting. I set records as a sales trainer. I've trained, coached, and developed people. So I'm not telling you anything that I didn't do. What I'm telling you is that I didn't realize that all these years that I've been doing it would actually help me when I got on this side of my life, on this side of 50. That all of these things that God had been putting me through, teaching me and preparing me for this. Shout out to Derek Coley. He's preparing me for something that I can't see right now. So again, with that being said, I didn't know that. I didn't realize when I was training and coaching for a check and to keep my job because I needed my people to perform on the floor, because if I didn't have a good performance, that they would then be writing me up, that I would then be able to coach CEOs. Because just because you run a company doesn't mean that you're good at running a company, because maybe you've never had to run a company before. One of the things that I have discussions with CEOs about all the time is that even if you're in a leadership position at your job, the majority of the time, the people who you lead are not afraid of you. It is not you that they're afraid of. It is HR. It is getting fired. It is the power of the company. It is the fact that that company could sue them. You have been empowered as a representative of the company. So they're not really scared of you. They're not really respecting you. They're really respecting the position. But when you own your own company, it's you that they have to respect. It's you that they have to follow. Because you're the last line of defense. When I worked in retail, and when I worked in education and I worked in sales and recruiting, they didn't care nothing about me. I wrote them up. Okay. What they cared about is that that person that I had to turn that write up into could fire them. What they cared about is that that person, you know, if they tried to go and sue them, would get their attorneys out. That they would prosecute them. You know, the companies that you work for are completely different than you. You know, but then when I first started working as a front-facing brand, for lack of a better word, you know, it was me that had to be in a position to make people respect me. So when they're trying to sell me radio time, it's me who has to ask those questions. When they're trying to get me to buy T-shirts from them, saying I need promotional materials, and you need this, you need that. It's me who has to make these discernments. And if I overbuy something, it's me who has to figure out how we're going to recoup it. You know, Spent all this money on radio time. Now, how are we going to get customers with this? It's cool to get pats on the back, but how are we going to get the customers? Spent all this money on software and CRMs and automating things. Now, how are we going to get some customers with it? You know, so I'm saying this because once the switch clicked, and it's like, oh, people will pay me money for this. So I don't just need to be doing it. I need to actually be asking for a sale. Then all of a sudden, the same results that I've been getting, I was now getting paid for. And if you ask for the money in exchange for the thing you do, people will pay you too. And the more things that you do well, the more opportunities you have. The more questions you can answer for customers, the more customers you'll have. Because there are people right now. Let's look at it like this. There's somebody right now who wants to open a business. They don't know what to do. They don't know what steps to take. They don't know what people to hire. So what will they do? They'll sit there and they'll never do it because paralysis by analysis. So then they hop on and they see me talking about it and they call me. Okay, so they go make a fast call. They call me. And this is something that's actually happened. So this isn't a hypothetical. They'll call me. Okay, so now I know what web guy to call because I've been working with web guys for 5, 6, 7 years. So I know which ones you can trust and which ones are going to charge you a fair price and which ones are going to actually be able to execute all of these things. Yeah. I know how to set up a marketing plan and a sales funnel and how to create memorable things that make you stand out and make you worth more as a CEO, make your business worth more. Because I've done it. Got a book out called The Big Picture, Secret to Being Rich, from someone who's rich, written with a CEO. Got another book coming out with another CEO in 2024, called The Pivot, which is like a 3-part series, by the way. So be on the lookout for that. But the thing is that when people don't know something, they got to ask somebody. Why shouldn't they be asking you? Again, got a client call in, maybe about 15 minutes. I'm going to say, hey, I got my guy who does book covers. He's ready to go. Got my people who format books for the Kindle. They format them so you can get them printed. Ready to go. Why? Because I've actually done this stuff before. Actually wrote a book, best-selling book. Actually got a second book out. Actually helped other people put books out. Actually put together marketing plans that have made millions of dollars. So if someone's sitting at home and they're like, man, I don't really know anything about marketing. And they see the video that I didn't pay any money to put up. And I'm telling you, you need to do this right now before, YouTube or Facebook starts doing more limiting and start asking for more money. So while the window is open and you can still go live for free without it being $4.99 a month or something, you should be doing it so that you can build your customer list. But back to what I was saying. So now somebody sees it. Now they hit you. They ask you some questions. You say, hey, okay, I could do it for you. I could do it with you. I can show you how to do it. Here's the price. You make the exchange. Now wealth is transferred. You go out, you help that person, you get a testimony from that person, you get a referral from that person. So now that person gives you another person. Their testimonial gets two other people who are on the fence to then do business with you as well. So now you got three more customers. And then you just rinse and repeat the same thing over and over again. Talk about things that people need to know about, answer questions that they have, demonstrate your ability to solve their problems consistently so enough people can see you. Then work with those people to work with more people. So again, but because you're over 35 and you've been doing it a really long time, it is possible. Now, let me be very clear. There is some work involved. This isn't just some miracle that you snapped your fingers and all of a sudden you're rich. Now, is getting rich possible? It is. But it takes a lot of wealth transfers to get your dollars up. It takes having something people want. It takes you being consistent at doing it. It takes you honing your craft. And then working with people who can actually help you. Who can teach you what to say and what not to say. Who can help you put together your sales funnel. Who can help you put together your website. And not only put it together, but put it together in a way that converts. So what you need to be doing constantly is looking for people who have unique gifts that you can then partner with that will help you monetize. Again, one more thing, and then I'm gonna let you guys go because I know you got stuff to do today. So, took a call. The guy was talking about, hey, I wanted somebody to market my business. So we went back and forth, and I'm like, so you don't want to make any money? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you said you want somebody to market your business, but you not once mentioned sales. He's like, oh yeah, I want sales. Oh, I want marketing that converts. Okay. Now I'm saying this to say that when you're at home and you're saying, I want to hire somebody to do my marketing, you really are saying, I want to hire somebody who's going to help me make some money, who's going to make my business worth more, who's going to make me worth more, who's going to make it easier for me to attract and close customers. Because that's what marketing is supposed to do. It is supposed to open up a curiosity about you and create a sense of urgency for people to want to know you. And then put them in a position to want to give you money or want to book you or want to do whatever. Okay. And if it's not doing that, and the people you're talking about hiring have no track record of doing that, then you don't hire them. And one of the ways that you could tell people do not have any experience doing it is because they never talk about it. I've never known a person who helped somebody make millions of dollars who didn't at least once or twice say, hey man, I've helped people make millions of dollars. Sometimes people say I said too much. Sometimes people say, hey man, we know you made people millions of dollars. Can you stop saying it? And I say no. I'm gonna say it again. But with that being said, whoever it is, if they're making money or they're helping people make money, they're going to talk about money. But if you've never helped anyone make money, you're probably not going to talk about it. So for you at home, what you need to do, what you need to consistently do, is figure out how when you invest in these people, how you're going to recoup your money. My greatest regret in business is not understanding soon enough that I need to be focused on how I get money back in exchange for the money I put out. How I get more money back. If I spend $1,500 on radio ads, okay, where are we going to get the $1,500 plus whatever back? Yeah. If I drive people to my website, how are we going to close them when we get to the website? Because what ended up happening is that, hey, I was popular. I was entertaining people. I was getting likes and follows, and people were clapping and patting me on the back. I was going broke. Had a website that had nobody going to it. Nobody was booking me. And if they did book me, they were trying to book me for free. and then charge people to come see me, which is okay, you know, if you know how to take a free booking and turn it into something. But I didn't. So I'd show up at your vendor event and I'd actually pay you money to stand there and talk to other people who had paid you money and get no sales and not know how to adjust any of that. That's I mean I went through it. You know, I became a victim of the vendor scam. You know, which is when the person who has the event makes all their money off booking vendors, and then if nobody gets a sale, they're like, oh well, that's on you. You know, I was a victim of being on the radio and not getting any sales. Shout out to AC Green, by the way. You know, one of the best guys I've ever met, who really kind of schooled me to why he did radio and what the purpose of the radio was for. But in the beginning, I didn't know what the purpose was. I'm just on here giving them my money, and I got more people watching me on Facebook. You know, first website I ever had, man, nobody ever went to that thing. Now people go to grownandrich.com because I keep saying go to grownandrich.com. And I give them a reason to go to grownandrich.com, which is to go over there and click the make money fast button, which is going to get you a free call with somebody who's made people millions of dollars. So again, there are things that you learn along the way. So you'll be better 5 years from now than you are right now. So why wait 5 more years to start your business, to follow your dream, to finally put yourself in a position to have financial freedom? Why waiting? What are you waiting for? You know, there are going to be tons of people who are going to want to do what you did that you can then teach to do what you do. That's simple, man. And I'm only telling you this because I love you. I'm only telling you this because I know how hard it is to be on a job. I know how hard it is to be sitting in that office and them telling you that, hey, well, we need to make some cutbacks, or we're not getting a raise this year, or we're going to shut down. All things I've been through. I know what it's like to be, let go. And when inflation goes up, the way you fix inflation, you cut jobs. When people talk about um, recessions, what they mean is that there is a stop in economic growth. So if there's no economic growth, how do we add more jobs? How do we give more raises? You know, Now the thing that usually starts it again is, okay, they'll give you a stimulus check. They'll do something to kickstart the economy. But even in those situations, if you don't know how to take that stimulus check or PPP loan or whatever you're going to get the economy going again, if you don't know how to use it to make more money, all it does is put you right back in the same position again, because after they spike the economy, then it's going to have a bit of a regression. And when that regression comes, I mean, let's just look at it. We spike the economy. Okay, things are cooking. They need more people. So now they hire some new people. But then things start to slow down. They start to settle down. The spike is over with. But now everything costs way more. So now we don't really need all these people anymore because things have kind of settled down. They kind of slowed down. So what do? They lay people off. They let people go. We just saw UPS drivers I guess drivers and everybody else too, but we saw them get a raise. Okay. So now what happened? Then they turned around and let a bunch of people go. We saw Twitter let people go. I think we saw Amazon. Don't quote me on this Amazon thing, but I think we saw Amazon let people go too. And these are some of the largest companies on the planet. So what about these smaller companies? How are they staying in business when the cost to deliver goods and services has gone up because the price of gas went up? You know, I deal with people who teach people how to dispatch. I deal with people who teach people how to get their box truck businesses started. I deal with people who teach people how to do a variety of different things. And one thing that we see all the time is people coming from other walks of life to try to get into these industries because they're pretty much recession proof. There are always going to be trucks traveling back and forth delivering goods and services, and there's always going to be people who need to be in position to help them know where to go, when to be there, and how to get another one to go back the other way. So I'm saying these things to you at home, saying that what would it be like if you could have some security, knowing that, hey, there's at least 1,000 people in this country or in this world who want to learn the thing that I know, that would be willing to give me between $100 and $500. If 1,000 people give you $100, that's $100,000. If they give you $500, that's a half a million. So now, how do I find 1,000 people in a world that has billions of people willing to give me something in exchange for what I know? Okay. And if you want any help with that, man, just go over to growingrich.com. Excuse me. Click the Make Money Fast button and we'll talk about it. And if you're already in business, which is cool too, because I love people who are already in business because, man, you already kind of made some of the mistakes and already kind of have a little bit of an audience. Now I'll just show you how to use that audience you have to get more sales, how to use that audience you have to get more customers, how to use that audience you have and that website you have and those things you have to make you more valuable to other people so that they want to bring you on their podcast, so that they want to have you out to speak. And when you get out to speak, I'll show you how to make offers that allow you to then turn some of the people in the room into customers. You know, I'll teach you how to fish. Yeah. So, but anyway, man, this has been another episode of successful. That's right, successful marketing and sales and relationships for adult. That's right, adult business owners. We deal with grown folks over here. If you have not noticed, grown folks. That's what we deal with over here. Now if you're under that, we still work with you. But I got love for people like me, who are getting up there in years and need to turn, some of this experience into an income, to offset their 401k or to make up for some of the setbacks they suffered through divorce or from being without work for a little bit of while or whatever it is, or how to help sick parents or help grandbabies, you know, fulfill their dreams or buy their medications. So again, rock with the grown folks. So again, you can go over to growingrich.com and click that button, by the way. I wonder how many times I can say growingrich.com without it sounding forced. But anyway, this has been your business big bro, Sadon Long, aka the most dangerous man in marketing, with another episode of successful marketing and sales and relationships for adult business owners and entrepreneurs, where we teach you how to have a more beautiful, wonderful business. Why? So you can have a more beautiful and wonderful life. I will be back on Monday. Enjoy your weekend and be blessed. I'm out. This has been another episode of